Hi folks, and welcome to Tritone Video 3! Hooray! What we're going to do today is talk about a couple more verticalities of 016s. These are all 016s. Then we're going to talk about differentiating verticalities that are very similar. And then we're going to talk about adding a couple more notes and some different approaches to that. And then it's time to go to modus novus. But I do want to take time to talk about verticalities because I do want them to inform how you might sing something like this melodically, or something like this melodically, or even something like this melodically. Because hopefully when you're sight reading melodies, you're hearing in advance enough that you can hear these things as chords. All right, so let's review. We are going to start right here. Whoops, here we are. Remember the difference between these three chords. Here is the first one, and that fifth in the bottom was really strong. Ooh, listen to that. And seems to define things as close to the harmonic series, and hey, tonality is close to the harmonic series too, so that happy coincidence really makes us want to resolve this down to here, or maybe up. In any case, it's the most tonal of these 016s. And just because 016s are a little less tonal than 026s doesn't mean they can't be manipulated to sound a little more tonal. Now let's look at this one again. Whoops. You can tell that this minor ninth, there's still a fifth above the bass, but the minor ninth is just a little sticky. It's like a jazz avoid tone. And now, look at this one. Or maybe up here. Because after all, even where you play it on the piano will make it sound slightly different, or if you orchestrate it to instruments that have fewer wangy overtones, it'll also sound very different. But for now, we just have piano. This sounds perhaps the least rooted, again, because the perfect interval here is just a fourth, and it's not from the lowest note. So these are all 016s, and they sound different. And I hope when we get to modus novus, we'll be able to use these different sounds to help us read melodies as well. Now let's take a look at these two 016s. Hi, I'm 016. Hi, I'm 016. The first one is a tritone and a fourth, and the second one is a fourth and a tritone. Here's the first one, and here's the second one. And let's start with the second one, because you notice the second one, even though there's not a fifth in the bottom, there still is a perfect interval in the bottom, and that seems to be enough for us. This, I don't really quite understand why, but it's definitely there psychologically. And by the way, as an aside, do check out, oh my god, that website and that video I posted a link to about the tritone paradox. It is crazy, and Diana Deutsch, just one of the best psychoacousticians around, and she's cataloged many crazy things. But for now, I think this fourth on the bottom, why does it matter that it's not on the top? I'm not quite sure, but it surely does, because I can hear this going down to here, and because I've listened to way too much 19th century music, if I play an A7 chord right before this, I get... It sounds an awful lot like Tristan or Mahler, or I don't know, just all those good people who were incredibly depressed and wrote music that sounded very romantic and important with a capital I. But what I really want to get across is that the music sounds very tonally functional, just because you have a fourth on the bottom. So I like to call this one the sharp 11. This one's different, and listen to it. Listen to the bottom note. I think we can clearly still hear this with some tonal function if you really must. But what's cool about it is that I think you can hear it with different tonal functions. It is much more flexible. And let me show you a really cool thing, which, hey, maybe you can do for your one of your practice videos, which, by the way, I've been watching just a couple, and fabulous. Good going. Yay. Check this out. See if you can figure this out if you want to pause the video. What are the two clearest bass notes we can add here that will make these jazz added chords that make sense or that are familiar. There's actually in reality any number of them, but that'll give you the simplest, most complete ones. See what you come up with. Pause the video for now and play these on the piano. Whoops, hold on. I didn't mean to add a B flat there. Okay, I want to have both of the same chord. In other words, I want to keep the same structure here. Sorry for that. These are the same notes. But what I do want to do is to find a bass note that will make these notes sound different. Okay, so one here and one here. Ready? Pause the video. Okay, unpause or just keep going if you're just, cleaning the house or something, listening in the background. What's really interesting is that if you add a G here, what does that make the E? I think instead of asking a silent class, I'll ask a silent YouTube video. It's a 13 here, a 3, and a 7. And now listen to that, and let's sing down from the 13. Always try to sing down just for exercise. It's a really cool exercise. So sing along with us. 13. And as you do, can you hear the construction? Do you remember those cadences, Schumann cadences that always seem to go? Can you hear that 13? And it wants to resolve wherever you think 13s resolve. Or if you don't think they should, then it should float wherever 13s float. And then go down a perfect fourth. And that's a third. And really try to hear the root. But instead go down to the 7. And now go up a whole step and down an octave. Ready? Hey, 13. Now do it again. 13, 3, 7, 1. Isn't that amazing? So where else? Check out what happens if you go to a D flat instead. And the fact that these are a tritone away is not a coincidence. If this is a D flat in the bass, that makes an E natural a sharp 9. The B natural, it's a C flat, who knows? It's a 7, and this the normal 3. So let's do the same exercise. Think of Jimi Hendrix, think of the Beatles, think of Prince, think of your favorite Chopin sharp 9 chord, and just sing sharp 9. Can you hear the major third above it? Oh, maybe there it is. Sharp 9, 7, 3. And now can you sing the D flat? Go ahead and sing it before I get there. Go. I think it's here. A little higher maybe than I was thinking. Sharp 9. And what's cool too, so if you like, pause the video and go do this and then do this. And notice that your concept of this changes. And again, why do we sing down? Because as you sing down some sort of jazzy construction that you've studied and you've learned, somewhere along the way, the entire color of this whole chord comes into focus. And the more you practice, the earlier that will happen. It'll start to happen even right when you start it. It's a super good practice to do that. And notice also what we're doing, what this alleged methodology is. The methodology is, hey, we're doing 016s. Here's a difference, a subtle difference in this 016. And now, notice here's a flexibility within just one of these 016s. It's a really cool way to work, to try to notice what you notice and then try to change some small things and then try to change something even smaller than that to see where you end up with. But one thing that's pretty clear about this one is that it works in lots of jazz contexts. So I like to call it jazzy jazz. You can call it whatever you want. Just don't call it late for dinner. The jokes don't get any funnier. I warned you about that at the beginning of the semester. So this is jazzy jazz, and this is a sharp 11. And we've been working so long on this one that notice what happens. I'm going to play a sharp 11 in a completely different key. Check it out. Whoa, 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 whoa. So different. Spending so much time focused on one thing and all the intricacies of that makes this contrast between these two seem bigger and much clearer. So hopefully this is emulating a way for you to study, to spend times on small differences here so that, imagine what an 026 would sound like at this point. It would sound hugely different from what we're doing. So by all means, practice the finer points and then go outwards from there. What I want to do now is let's try a little very, very informal quiz. I mean, come on, super informal. How informal? Well, I'll tell you. This informal. I am going to play 4 of chords in different positions, and it's going to be one of these or the others. And I want you to tell me which one it's going to be. So in other words, I'm going to play one chord here, another chord here, another chord here, and another chord here. And before I tell you, stop the video and try to figure it out and go back. And you know, whatever. This is for your own edification, so have a good time. Here is chord 1. See if you can figure it out. Here is chord 2. Here is chord 3. And here is chord 4. I hope I remember these. Let me play them again in sequence. Where did I start? Here. Here's chord 1. Here's chord 2. Here's chord 3. Here's chord 4. Go back and play that a couple times if you're having a hard time hearing the difference. And if you are, go back to this point in the video. Maybe I can put a time code where that is in the comments or something, or just find it. Go back and then listen to this again. The more you pay attention to it, the more differentiated these will feel. And notice something else. And here, let me give you the bass notes that I was playing. I was playing just a whole tone scale and going back and forth. You really hear the waves of these are all the same set. They're all the same color. They're all the same flavor, but there's slight variations. And did you get that the first one was a sharp 11? And this is a jazzy jazz, and this is a jazzy jazz, and this is a sharp 11? That's what I got. As they say, your mileage may vary, but I think so. Listen to it again. Let me see if I can remember. Sharp 11. Hey, jazzy jazz. And now listen to the parallel everything here. Could you hear that parallel everything? It's a real feeling. And now listen, not everything is going to be parallel getting to hear. Could you hear this suddenly changed? And the fact that there's a perfect fourth in the bass really, really makes a difference. So there we are. Here's some 016s, here's more 016s, and now I hope you can really tell the difference. And when we get to modus novus, I hope you can really use this so that when we do go derp, 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 and when you're, singing things like this, and when you're singing things like this, and then instantly sing things like this, whoops, that's a natural, you'll be able to differentiate these with a little bit of confidence. I really feel, especially in 016s, again, the reason I'm making so many videos about this is it's very counterintuitive, because this starts to sound very, very stable, and you can convince yourself that, oh, stable, oh, it's a perfect fifth. And then you get to this and you go, huh? The whole flipping back and forth between normalizing tritones is a great thing. If you're experiencing that, if you're having difficulties, it's actually a good thing. It means you're expanding your contextual repertoire. So embrace that. And if you make silly mistakes like I make in these videos, go for it. Post a practice video on the website about yourself making these mistakes. And one final word before we go on to modus novus about this. Most 3-note 016s don't exist in the wild quite so much, or rather, if they do, I don't know. Look, here's a 3 notes. If they do, they're often answered pretty quickly by another 3-note 016. I'm sure there's somewhere in Webern, I think this is actually exists in that Opus 27 piano thing, where an 016 and a complementary 016. In other words, this is often not enough to shape a whole context. And composers who are very interested in using tritones in very stable ways need more than just 3 notes. Another thing to consider is this right here. This is an E and F. I hope I did this right. Oh my God, did I do this right? Yes, great. A sharp, B. What's cool about this is if you take a look at this, here's an 016. there is literally only one note you can add to this that won't give you a third. Check it out. There's this 016. If I add a C natural to it, whoa, there's a third right there, and there's a whole step. It sounds so different. But if I add this B right here, it still sounds very 016-y. And that's because, of course, this is an 016 and this is an 016. And so this is a mirror of itself, and it's very symmetrical. And chords like that, and there's of course a version in the 026. If you have an 026 and just add this, it's the same thing. Chords that do this, that are symmetrical, tend to concentrate their flavor. And remember, in that string quartet thing in Webern, we saw this, and what's really interesting, forgive me, it's not the exact same pitches. What were the pitches? Oh, yes. It was this. It was this, I think. No, I'm a fourth off. And then it went and it changed essentially to this. This is all treble clef. This is also symmetrical, but it suddenly has this magical third. And now, listen to this chord progression in retrospect, having studied this. Here's our 016-60, no thirds at all. And now here, it's still rich in half steps, but there's just this tinge of thirdness, a 30-something. And, you know, well, I'd make a really bad joke now, but it'll get me banned from YouTube. Oh, God, I'm terrible. Listen to the difference. And I think you can kind of hear that. Hey, that's kind of a nice song. I think I'll play this for 20 minutes and write really depressed lyrics on top of it. Anyway, I think this video is long enough, so instead of starting modus novus now, I'll start a separate modus novus video. But for now, that's it. Enjoy your 016s. Yay.